teen legend in the making would get off from high school and rush over to a recording studio and start working with a producer legend in the making. Why don't you tell us about that? What was that like?
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing that we all just happened to get together. I mean, it was just, it was fate, I guess. I mean, we certainly didn't plan it that way, and probably Lou Adler and Herb Alpert were the only other guys we happen to know that were in the business. So it was just fortunate for us that we all made that connection. So it obviously worked out very well for all of us.
Obviously. And obviously it was a great time that you were having, and it was working. But did you actually know at the time, did it ever dawn on you, or were you just too young?
Way too young, yeah. Way too young. Although I think I sensed Jan probably knew. Jan was, yeah, he was the A personality that had an idea that this might just work. On the other hand, if we were so sure it was going to work, we probably would have not been in school full time. So I think we had a balance. We figured it would at least work for a while, but we kept all of our options open. And once again, the way it worked out, and having Lou and Herb as partners, without them, I doubt it would have worked as well.
What was it like working with them?
Oh, it was great because we were all like about they were a little bit older than us, right. But it was neat because they were kind of the guys that kept the focus, and we could just be the Looney Tunes, you know. I think Lou is quoted in saying when he first met us, his first impression was, "They're not wearing shoes." That was a good impression. They're not wearing shoes. So they were the suits, and they were dressed in suits when they came to meet us for the first time. We were like, you know, in our T-shirts and no shoes, I guess. I don't remember.
How collaborative was it?
Oh, I'd say very much so. I mean, we understood that it would behoove us to have some other people around that would have an overview of what we were doing, because we were too kind of caught up in the middle of it. Plus, we were going to school. Plus, we were having fun with our friends down at the beach. So it was hard to concentrate on one thing at a time. They made us concentrate at least on music for the times we were all together. Once we were out of their sight, of course, it was a whole other thing. But
well, that's true.
yes, it is.
Was it hard to actually not want to go to the beach when you had things to do?
Always go out to the beach.
We would like work. I guess our capacity for working was maybe an hour and a half, and then we'd go, well, that's enough of that. We could get down, play at least 2-3 games of volleyball, and then work on the second verse, you know, after volleyball, and then your wife is gone. Okay. Then, like later on that, you know, then at night, of course, then you'd have to take a little girlfriend break, and you have to go visit the girlfriends to keep them happy for at least an hour or so, an hour and a half, and then back. So I think that really made it more pleasurable. That, you know, you didn't have a recording studio. It was clicking off $300, $400 an hour. You know, this was all at Jan's house in his garage. So we could work anytime we wanted or not work. It didn't make any difference.
True tracks. That's
just
it.
two track tape recorders. So.
Have you ever been able to replicate the acoustics of
No.
that garage?
You can't. It's unbelievable.
And then it burned down on top of it all.
Oh, darn.
Jeez. So, and then we had to really use a recording studio after that. But in the beginning, it was absolutely a perfect beginning because it was, you know, young guys doing what young guys do and not under all that pressure and all that stuff that artists of 10, 15 years ago up to now go through. We were totally on our own. We could do what we pleased to do when we wanted to do it. Except for Lou and Herb, they would every once in a while be taskmasters, but for the most part, they let us do kind of in our own speed, do what we wanted to do.
Do you ever go back and sometimes just pinch yourself when it dawns on you, the long and winding road you were on.
Oh yeah. Here we are. If we'd ever thought at 40 years, this has now been 40 years. This is our 40th
That's right.
anniversary.
Wow.
59 to 99. I remember my parents telling me, well, you know, after the first record, probably you'd better keep that job at the gas station and keep going to school because, you know, you're very fortunate that you had one, but most artists don't get more than one. And we had two, and we had three. Yeah, well, 'cause I believed them.
Yeah. That's back
And-
when people listened to their parents.
Yeah, well, actually.
And the rock and roll hadn't existed yet, you know?
It was still in its very primitive state.
Yeah,
It hadn't proven its legs yet.
No.
right.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we had been on the cover of every single magazine and written up and on TV all over the place, it would have been a much different world. That's why we were allowed to go at our own pace because, you know, rock and roll. I'm sure that the guys at the record companies thought that this was just a phase and it's going to go, you know, pretty soon, you know, another year and a half, and then rock and roll would be gone, and all those guys would be back to producing Perry Como and Frank Sinatra would be back on the charts, and that would be it.
Well, I'm trying really hard, you know,
Yeah, doing what?
to make it.
You still going to make it?
And I can, yeah,
yeah,
I was back in the 60s.
Oh, you're talking about sex. Okay.